right. So from the Rams point of view, they get the picks. They don't get one this year, but they get the picks. They also get Jared Goff, who could be a tradable commodity for them. Like, especially this year, next year, if they can build him up and play well, and he plays well, they don't look at it as the future. You look at he's there for the now. Their coach Dan Campbell said that this thing doesn't start until year 3. So, somebody told him that.
If that's the case, then do you flip Goff
now? I know, exactly. And that's the thing that I'm sitting there.
You only have control. I think was the opt-outs in year 3.
Yeah, in year 3. Think about it for a second. If all the dust settles, right, and you're the Washington football team, he's still better than what you have. And Jared Goff with that defense, you start running the ball a lot. That could be something where, that could be something where you sit there and you say, hey, if that can get us to 10 wins in that terrible division, let's go. Let's do it. This may not be, the end all be all. Like, somebody's going to get Watson and everybody else is going to be left in the dust, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I think it's the Jets. I'm confident.
The Jets cannot allow, and let's just be real. Like the Jets cannot, and we'll talk about it in a second, but like the Jets can't really allow that to take place. They can't put him in. They can't let him go to Miami. They just can't function.
No, they can't. But if all his indications are he wants to go to the Jets,
so it makes sense. It makes sense.
It's going to be a game of chicken right now between.
But I do think that the Niners will be heard as far as this goes, because I do think there's a big portion of the Niners organization wants to move on from Jimmy G. So I think they definitely want to do that. I think it's very clear that they want to move on from him. For those listening, watching on YouTube, the significance of the picture behind me, Aaron and Lasorda, is more of the direction of the show. So what we're going to do, we're still going to have different podcasts, Put On Waivers podcasts, but this particular, I like to call it the Put On Waivers OG show. This is the OG, the original one. We're moving to baseball. It's going to be an MLB show. It's going to be talking about baseball all year round. And that's just the direction we're going to go. It's just James and I worked together for a long period of time. And that has been the, thing that brought us together is the sport of baseball. And I think it's kind of time to really kind of just dive right into it. I will still be doing the Put On Waivers NFL show and Cover 3D Raider football show. So, we definitely will do that. But we'll do some little NBA as well, myself. But for me and James, I think it's just I'll let you speak on it yourself too, James. But baseball is our first love. And
baseball is the first love. And Dwayne knows, like, after Tuesday of next week, I don't want to talk football till August. It's the second time I've said it. There'll be some basketball and, maybe some hockey talk in there. But baseball is, people will come, Ray, and just love the sport of baseball. And there's just so much to talk to, whether it's what's going on now or what's happened in the past with baseball.
Yeah.
And especially all the icons we lost over the last 12 months in baseball.
And then the two behind me are two I can't wait. On our first show, we're going to talk about both of those guys, and that's going to be fun. Be a fun conversation because they have had just tremendous careers in Major League Baseball. But let's go back to the NFL right now and the Texans, right? So are you ready to sit out a year if you have to, Watson, and give back and write a check for $21 million back to the organization? Are you ready to sit out of training camp? I think the Texans GM, and I'm not sure why, Patriot guys, when they leave the Patriots, just can't be themselves. Don't refer to Deshaun Watson as the player. Like, don't do that. You're not your last name is not Parcells. Your last name is not Belichick. They can get away with that. You can't. They're proven.
Yeah,
I hated that press conference when they said that. Why? I mean, like it's the same thing. Like when McDaniels went to Denver, he tried to be Belichick. When just be yourself. I mean, Patricia in with the Lions, Charlie Weiss, like just be yourself and you'll be more successful. I think you're seeing it from Brian Flores. I think you're seeing it from from Judge in New York as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the closest thing Judge has said that you would call, quote unquote, the Patriot way is, he wants to get the most out of his players and put them in the right position to win. Which, really, when you think about it, that's one of the things the Patriots were good at was finding that position for a player, where they would succeed and exceed. But yeah, I really think the NFL is going to get involved with this Texan one, and I don't think they want the negative press.
They're going to force a trade, you think?
I think they're going to have to talk to the owners. I mean, it just doesn't look good. It just does not look good with what's coming out and what's being said. And obviously the GM,
especially
did have to say like, oh, we're not trading them, because you have to drive up the cost, but you can't drive up a cost of a player with a no trade clause who's basically going to dictate where he wants to go. Now, the second thing is, there's also people within the organization who feel J.J. Watt has played his last game with the Texans.
Yeah, come to Vegas. Go ahead. Sorry.
So yeah, yeah, you can go to Vegas. Just don't go to Pittsburgh, because I don't want two Watt brothers on one team.
I know, that's true.
So I think it's an organization that just really needs to be, just blow up the whole roster and start from scratch. And they just don't look good, and especially again when you have
their hiring practices don't look good. Nothing looks good there.
Your president, your vice president of operations, Easterly was he wasn't even like a real coach with the Patriots. He was a motivating coach, a preacher, a reverend, and now he's running your football organization.
Yeah, it looks bad.
Forcing
people to pray on when they make the big decisions.
Yeah, and it's. I think the NFL is going to get in this one, and and just be like, I don't think it'll be public. Where you're like, hey, you know what, we can't have. I don't think the NFL could deal with the negative press of a player who might feel like, the organization has making racist comments towards him or treating him differently because he's a black quarterback. I don't think the NFL can deal with that press. And the way they are treating him, they're not treating him like a normal superstar quarterback. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. And I would say, like, one thing I would say in the organizations and all of football and their defense is, we all know that whole thing called that the young kids call ghosting, right? Where you just never call anybody back, all that stuff like that. I feel like that's going to be in the next collective bargaining agreement, that's going to not happen anymore. I feel like, in my mind, if I'm the owner and like, if you have beef with me, okay, fine. That's fine. But I still am, no check I sent you bounced. So
no other job in America, you do not call back your boss.
Exactly. So that part of it to me is,
and that's a bad look across a lot of sports.
I think Mac did it
all of sports.
Yeah, Mac did it. Mac did it to the Raiders. He would not, when John Gruden tried to call him after he got the job with the Raiders, he refused to call him back. Like, to me,
Strowman did it to the Mets.
Yes.
Did it to, I mean, it's.
I think one of those organizations is going to say, listen, we are going to have a conversation. Like, this is not like, we are not like, our entity has paid you consistent, no matter what situation where I may have promised you something, that was probably their bad, right? They promised him something that he wasn't a part of. They said, hey, you'll have input on the coaching or the GM or anything like that. They made those things. And that's stupid on their part, but
in our lifetime, I could probably name 5 players who I would accept feedback on, from if I was an owner. Jordan, Magic, Kareem, Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier, who else? Like, the players just can't get involved like that. And we've seen so many teams fumble, fall apart when the players have a direct line to ownership.
Yeah, I mean that ghosting stuff has got to go. It got to go. I mean, and then like, oh, the ultimate breakup. He changed his social media. Ooh, doesn't have any Texan stuff
apparently
on there no more.
Apparently, he spent the weekend deleting every picture of him in a Texans uniform or something.
Great. I mean, like, what is that? You know what? But like I said, the checks were cashed.
That's a high school breakup.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, that does nothing. So that to me, that does nothing. But for me, if I'm them, you want to get traded? Okay, we're gonna have a conversation. If I can't talk to you, I'm not. If I can't, you can be your agent can be sitting right next to you. If I can't talk to you, then nothing gets done. Nothing gets done. I mean, that whole situation to me, like that ghosting thing is like, it's really like, even Michael Douglas couldn't ghost Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction. So exactly. we're not that ghosting
stuff. They really have cell phones back then.
I know, jeez, I know, that's crazy. But I mean, listen, if he retires, it's 21 million back to the Texans that he has to write. If it's training camp, it's $50,000 a day, all those things like that. So we'll have to see. And again, my ode to NFL players is this: do not sign that contract for a long period of time. If you put the pressure on the team if this was a 2-year deal, it'd be perfect. But you can't. This is not the NBA where you're going to get that stability for a long period of time and then force your way out all the time. It does not. I'm telling you right now, that's going to record that's there. So you're going to have a stubborn owner who just, no matter what you put out on social media, what you tell Adam Schefter, what you tell Chris Mortensen, they're not going to deal you sometimes, and then you're going to be stuck there and have to play.
Oh, exactly. And I think that's what we're going to see. I think it's getting ugly. It's going to get nasty.
You think they're gonna keep him, huh?
I'll be.
We won't know till the draft.
I'll be surprised. What's the draft's in April, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if he's traded before the league year starts.
Oh, after March 13th or whatever that day is.
March 13th or March 18th, whatever it is. I'll be surprised if he's traded that early. I don't think. But I do believe there's going to be some kind of involvement with the NFL front offices, just being like, we have to make this work, and he really is. I mean, he is one of the faces of the league. He's got the chunky commercials. He's another commercial.
He's viewed as a polished kid. Never has issues off the field, all that stuff like that. So that's like you brought up the racial. I mean, you have a owner who did say, we're not going to let the inmates run the asylum or something like that. Like you have who's made comments about that. So like you can't. I mean, it's going to be it's weird. It's going to get weird.
It's a win-win for the NFL if he ends up in New York. And I'm not one of those people who believe
or Miami, but more so in New York. More so in New York.
Exactly. Like Patrick Ewing was fixed. So we get a superstar in New York. I think it's the right time. And I think as a team, you could build a whole NFL season, with the Jets winning a Super Bowl. The NFL could live off that for years.
Yeah, no question about it. Deshaun definitely get that done. Let's roll to, let's see here. I think that was pretty much it as far as those topics goes. Let's roll to the Super Bowl here. Offensively, the Chiefs, we know how good the Chiefs are. The Chiefs are a tremendously gifted offensive team. I mean, they are just great. But I think there's definitely concerns, James, about their ability to block this defensive line. There's no question about it because this defensive line is actually phenomenal. And then you have a point where they have a lot of injuries there as far as what they're going to do as far as that goes, James. They have a lot of injuries on that Chiefs offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, and with what they're coming up with on defense, and what they're throwing out. I mean, we have said it plenty of times. The defense has carried them through the playoffs more than anything, and it could be Tom's will, the respect that he has by the team, but the defense has really shined for them. this offseason. I have an interesting comparison for you because I was thinking about this today because today is the 6-year anniversary of Malcolm Butler. Are you getting and I know he already has the contract signed where it was different. But are you getting the same feeling that, back-to-back Super Bowls, wins the Super Bowl last year, and then Russell Wilson lost the second Super Bowl, and it was against Brady? Are you like starting to? Do you feel those comparisons? And that Seahawks team was a high-rolling team.
Yeah.
And Wilson hasn't gotten close. I mean, he's been to a couple of championships games, but he hasn't gotten close to the playoffs, to a Super Bowl.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like that is it's possible. I think they got to win the second one. I think if they don't win, I don't think if the Chiefs don't win the second one, then they could be that team. You're right. They could be that team that does not get it done as far as
and Wilson didn't have the contract at the time. That's the key difference.
Yes.
He was that offseason was going to be his contract year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they showed that play, and I'm sitting there saying to myself, and as you see we had Thornhill making almost a pick there. I think this is gonna be a tough. I mean, this is a Steve Spagnuolo special. He usually does a really good job as far as these moments here. But I don't know how you cover Tyreek Hill and Kelsey. I mean, for them, but I mean, offensively, I love. I mean, you gotta love what they do, and it's a good thing that he's special enough where he can make plays, right? But the question to me is, this is not
a defense bring this type of pressure.
He did see it in the prior weeks, right? I mean, and during the season, he did see them. They won 27-24. They got to a big lead, and then Brady was one stop away from maybe coming back. But I mean, like, you have Shaq Barrett, you have Ndamukong Suh. Vita Vea is just a guy who moves two people at one time, pushing those guys out the way. I just think this is that defensive line and his record, his
and JPP's been rejuvenated. Don't forget that.
No question about it. Like JPP has been fantastic. I mean, he with that injury, you look at his injury, it's pretty funny because look at his injury. He actually had, he has like 3 interceptions this year. dropping in coverage. I think the biggest key is, if I am Todd Bowles, like, it's the biggest thing. You can't blitz. If you blitz, they're gonna find it. I think it's very important that they absolutely do not blitz in that game. They just can't blitz. Just stay back in coverage and do what you gotta do. Also, I think that for the Chiefs, if they can get two tight end situations and then run the football just a little bit, they have a chance to do that. I think this can't be a turnover game for Brady. Like, he cannot do it this game.
No.
He cannot do it this game.
You can't give them extra opportunities with the ball.
He got real lucky before, but there's no way he can actually survive doing that this time. He just can't do it. There's no other way. They can't function as a team with him fumbling or throwing interceptions. He can't. You throw 3 in this game. This will be the first time he ever gets blown out in a Super Bowl. Like, yeah. It's not even question.
You have to protect that ball.
I think one of the things that I will say about the Bucs win over the Packers was special teams was fantastic because they end up getting the ball almost like at the 40-yard line every single time. So that's something that's going to be a big key to the game as well. We'll have to look at that as well as far as that goes. What's your feeling about? Let's go Patriot offense against the defense of the Chiefs. How do you feel they're going to fare against Steve Spagnuolo, who has been kind of a Brady beater in his playoff career?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they bring out. I mean, do they go 91 Giants and try to establish a running game with Fournette? does Fournette become Otis Anderson?
He's been good in these playoffs too.
Run the ball all day, keep the offense off the field. I think that's what Tampa has to look for. You got to look for little dump passes. We may see Gronk be his biggest factor that he's been all season in running those short routes or just being there for Brady to catch the ball. I give Tampa Bay a really good chance in the Super Bowl. I like them. And obviously, I'll always root for Brady and Gronk. I'm not one of those fans who's like upset that they're in the Super Bowl. Like they've brought me so much joy. Like I want them to win this game. But yeah, I think Fournette, it's going to be, if I could go to Vegas or drive down to Jersey, I would put $50 on Fournette being the MVP of the Super Bowl. That's just what he could be. Also, he catches passes coming out of the backfield. So,
he's getting better at it.
It could be the big turnaround story of the season, of the year in general with Fournette. So, I feel comfortable with Tampa Bay going this game, but Brady can't throw those flailing duck passes like he threw that just hung up there last week, and got picked off those 3 times. There wasn't even like, those weren't even the interceptions where it bounces off a receiver out of their hands. Those were just caught dead on by the defensive back. So, I think Tampa is going to come into this game with just as good of an offensive plan as, Spagnuolo is going to come with his defensive plan. I like Tampa Bay's defense better than I like the Chiefs' defense.
I think the thing too is like, everybody talked about, what's his name? Everybody talked about how Eric Bieniemy didn't get a job, or he got interviewed but didn't get a job. I think Brian Leftwich really needs to. That is not an easy position to be in. You have a big time quarterback who pretty much, he knows what he wants to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like you're sitting there talking about, he knows what he wants to do and he knows what he wants to accomplish. And you have to kind of fuse what Aaron's wants to do and what Brady wants to do. Like the short passing, mixing up with the balls down the field. Like that's huge. Like that's really like something that you really want to kind of fuse together. And I think he's done a pretty good job of that, James. I think I give him a lot of credit for, for kind of meshing the two together and also getting Fournette involved. Fournette has been fantastic. He has been really, really good. And I thought, he's been a huge part of it. He's been a huge part of what they're doing.
In fact, when Jacksonville played the Patriots in that AFC Championship game a few years ago, I was surprised at how much of a non-factor he was. I thought they would just run him all day because he had been a force during that season in those playoffs too. So,
he's been really good. He's been
especially when they had the lead, like they just went away from him.
Yeah, I like that squad. I like him a lot as far as that goes. I think you have to favor the Chiefs in the game.
You have to favor the Super Bowl champs.
You have to.
And they have the early season win too. So
yeah. So that early season win could be something where we're sitting there watching them hoist that trophy one more time. But they are really. They have the defense. They have the offense. I just worry about them blitzing a lot. Brady is a stationary target, right? So Brady is not going to be a guy who you're going to be sitting here watching, moving around a lot. But he has to do it with his mind, do it with his eyes, moving people around. They're going to be those tough situations where if you give up a score like they give up to Scotty Miller, who's kind of yapping this week about being the fastest player in the NFL, a little bit too much. Like he needs to calm that down a little bit. But we'll have to see about that part of it. But I love part of me is like liking the Bucs in the game. I just for some reason I spent my whole lifetime rooting against Brady. I don't know, I'm kind of bored with it now. I think I only got two more years left of
hopefully only more.
Oh yeah, no, he's done after 2 years. He has to be done 2 years.
So one thing on that video, that Sean Hockley, is that Ed's son? Because
I didn't even see that part.
Obviously, he doesn't have the same workout program that his dad has. He doesn't throw the iron around.
Got a little belly or something on that
one. No forearms.
Yeah.
No biceps.
I mean, I think it was part for Ed Hockley. I think it was part. It was part that, and it was also part like him just being like, kind of wearing that tight shirt. You know how that is. Yeah. A little tightness on that shirt. I'm gonna because I think the more complete team might be Tampa Bay. I'm gonna sit there and say that I don't think Brady's gonna turn the ball over as many times, and they're not gonna turn over the ball in this game. I think it's just a really close game where they just win the game at a field goal. They had the ball last. I mean, if I'm not saying you can't blitz Mahomes, but when you don't get there, you've seen it. When you don't get there and it's a scramble drill, and he's out in the pocket and doing all these crazy things, that's where they give those really big plays to Kelsey and to Hill. You got to contain them, and it's hard to do, but you got to score with them and contain them. And if they can do that, I think the Bucs can win the game. What are your thoughts about who wins this game?
Oh, I like the Bucs. I think they're the more complete team. I don't think their defense misses Mahomes as much as the Bills' defense did when they got in the backfield last week. I mean, there was times where I thought Mahomes was done, and it just seemed like the defensive player gave up.
You gotta hit him. You gotta hit him. Like if you take
that early 15-yard penalty, take it early in the game.
Hey, look at it this way: is a 15-yard pass or completion or a 15-yard penalty? Either way, they get 15. So
just let him know, like, you're shake him up. I don't think he's been shaken up that much in the NFL. I think it's going to be time-consuming drives for Tampa Bay. And 28 to 26 can be a whoever has the ball last, type of game, which, we saw that with the Giants and Bills. And I hate going back to that Super Bowl, but that was the perfect game plan. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Giants just seem to put together perfect game plans for Super Bowls, except for the one against the Ravens.
Also, I think too, I mean, AB is going to play. So they got three. Then the 3 wide receiver set is going to be dynamic, along with Cameron Brate and stuff like that too. So I mean, that could be time-consuming
drives, and don't be shocked if we see more from Gronk this week than we've seen all season from him.
And he is still a guy who you want to really. You're going to struggle to cover him, And I thought the way they got him.
I don't think he's not taking this matchup personally either. Because people gave Kelsey the scepter when he retired last year as being the best tight end ever, is coming up now in the NFL. Yeah. So
they both wear that number. They both wear that number pretty well, and Gronk has been the standard bearer, especially in big games. I mean, the catch he made to kind of close out the Rams the last time he was in the Super Bowl was a tremendous catch, a tremendous play. So I'm looking for him to have a big game too. Listen, they're gonna. It's all about this. This game is all Brady. If Brady does not turn the ball over, I think they have a great opportunity to win the game. If he turns the ball over, you can't give those. The Chiefs are too good. They're just too good offensively to give them those easy points. You gotta make him fight for it. I would just try to make him go underneath as much as he can, and don't let Tyreek Hill beat you down the field, James.
Yeah, exactly. And then again, it's also just going to be just such a weird Super Bowl experience this week. There's no real Radio Row. There's going to be no interview day. Media day is going to be totally different this year than we've seen in the past. So like how the teams get ready for it.
Nobody's hawking anything this week, huh?
No one will be selling.
You see every
ED medicine.
Yeah, seriously. You see everybody and their grandmother selling something, right? They're selling something. It's just like it drives you all kind of crazy. As far as that goes. But I am I'm looking forward to it. I wish AB was in this game. Maybe a little bit more. I could actually have a little bit more enjoyment out of it. And rather than that, I'm sure he will Facebook Live the halftime speech that Arians gives because he's good at that. Yeah. He loves doing that. I'm sure Mr. Tomlin loved him doing that.